So I talked to Mike Alcall, who's the head of Public Works and the head of city engineer, and I emailed him a list of our concerns, primarily about the lighting and the traffic in front of William Penn. So this is his response. It's pretty detailed, but I'm going to, because you are all more familiar with the lights in the streets and whatnot. So the first question was, can we have a painted crosswalk at Marine and Laurel Street? The city has previously discussed this with Moravian College about a crosswalk at this location. However, a simple painted crosswalk would not provide significant safety without significant funding and additional improvements. The city is hesitant to install uncontrolled crosswalks. Example, traffic is not controlled by a signal or stop signs without other improvements such as bump outs, medians, flashing lights, etc. The concept of an enhanced crosswalk at this location is still under consideration, and the city and Moravian College are exploring appropriate funding. So that's a plus. They're still looking at that. Can speed bumps or rumble strips be placed at Main Street near the school? The section of Main between Laurel and Etwine is already permitted as a 50-mile-per-hour school zone with flashers during school pickup and drop-off times. This is a rarity for schools as it must be permitted by PennDOT and unfortunately is rather expensive. Police do monitor this from time to time, and we will pass along the concerns again. As far as speed bumps, the city has been very selective in their use and so far has only installed them on a few rural, narrow, almost one-lane roads and are not applicable to this classification of street. The city has, however, applied for a grant at the end of 2019 to construct various pedestrian improvements within the North Side 2027 area with this, and within that application, proposed a delineated bump out at the intersection of Main and Fairview to increase pedestrian safety at the school.
Great.
So that's going to be within the 2027. I can have, like I said before, Willie Reynolds came at one point and talked about that, but I can have him come in the next month or two and maybe give an update because things are rolling out. One thing he did say to me recently is him and the mayor are going to do an announcement about it, and they are going to be forming subcommittees, and there will be opportunities for citizens to be on the different committees as they get the funding and they go with implementing the plan. Okay. Can a sign that notes the speed of a car be installed? Since the area is already within a flashing school zone, a permanent speed radar sign would not be permitted, as these are required to be approved and permitted by PennDOT. The city does have one of these signs that is portable that we deploy around the city throughout the year. We will add this area of Main Street and deploy for 1 week in the future in an effort to periodically control speed. So that will be good, right?
Did they happen to have that out anytime over the holidays? Okay. Because I talked to Tiffany, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, yeah.
And Tiffany said that they would try and get it out as soon as possible, but I don't know what other requests they had.
And maybe because school was closed and everybody wants to get back because, you know, we're just with school again, so thank you. Okay, then we go to street lighting. Can we look at street lighting with a specific emphasis on the alleys? Typically, the city only installs street lights at the intersections of alleys, mainly due to the lack of sidewalk width and limited room with other utilities in the alleys. However, the City Electrical Bureau reviewed the area and found the following. On Frankfurt Street between Main and Orchard, there's no opportunity to install a light. The PP&L owned pole mid-block does not have clearance to be able to mount a light because of all the other utilities on that pole. However, there is a light at Orchard and Frankfurt. We will check with PP&L to see if there's clearance for the city to install a light at Main and Frankfurt, but at first glance, this appears to be infeasible. Where's Frankfurt?
You know where that dentist office is?
Okay, by the laundromat?
Yeah.
Okay, so that,
It's
a
Tiny,
really
very
narrow.
tiny, yeah, it's really tiny.
Sometimes you can get a car down.
Yeah.
And
They
they
park
park
there.
there.
Yeah, I don't know how they
Yeah.
park there.
it appears we may be able to install a light mid-block on Frankfurt between Orchard, where there is a light, and Monocacy Street. There is a light at the intersection of both Orchard and Monocacy on Frankfurt, so we will evaluate if another one is warranted. On Orchard Street between Laurel and Frankfurt, there is a PP&L-owned pole. We can approach them regarding the city placing a light on it. Within the block of Orchard Street between Frankfurt and Fairview, there are 2 poles, but they are too close to homes, and a light could potentially impact the quality of life for those residents. Both poles are within 2 feet or less of the multi-unit homes. Lastly, in the section of Frankfurt between Main and Getter Street, There are 2 existing streetlights mid-block, as well as one at the intersection of Main and Frankfurt, and at Frankfurt and Getter. No other streetlights are warranted there. If you have any more questions or would like to discuss, don't hesitate to contact me. So,